What if the worst mornings of your life were not a curse, but an invitation? For years, he woke up with the same heavy feeling pressing against his chest. The alarm would ring before sunrise, its sharp sound cutting through the dark silence of his small bedroom. He would open his eyes, stare at the ceiling, and feel nothing but exhaustion. Not the kind that sleep can fix, but the kind that lives inside the soul. His name was Ion. Every morning, the room felt colder than it was. The faint light sneaking through the curtains carried no warmth. He would sit at the edge of his bed, elbows on his knees, face buried in his hands, wondering the same silent question. Is this all my life will ever be? He had a stable job. He paid his bills. He smiled politely at colleagues. From the outside, nothing seemed broken, but inside, something had slowly withered away. On his way to work, the world moved around him like a distant movie. People laughed at bus stops, vendors shouted cheerfully, children ran with heavy school bags. Yet Ion felt separated from it all, as if a thick glass wall stood between him and life. One evening, after another day that felt exactly like the day before it, he returned home and collapsed into his chair. The room was silent except for the ticking clock. Tick, tick, tick. Each second felt like a reminder of time slipping away. He whispered to himself, "Why do I feel so empty when nothing is wrong?" That night he slept restlessly, and in the early hours of the morning before his alarm could ring, he woke up again, miserable as always. But something was different. The power had gone out. The room was completely dark. No artificial lights, no humming appliances, just silence. He sat up, unable to fall back asleep. With nothing to distract him, he listened carefully. Outside, he heard a faint sound. Birds. At first, it was just one chirp, then another, then a soft chorus rising slowly with the dawn. Curious, he walked to the window and pulled the curtain aside. The sky was still painted in deep blue, but a thin line of gold was beginning to stretch across the horizon. He hadn't noticed a sunrise in years. He stood there, barefoot on the cold floor, watching the world wake up without him. The birds were not worried about tomorrow. The sky was not anxious about its color. The sun did not hesitate to rise, even after the darkest night. And for the first time in a long time, Ion did not check his phone, he did not think about his emails. He simply watched. 5 minutes passed. In those quiet 5 minutes, something shifted. It was not dramatic. There was no thunder, no sudden revelation, just a small, gentle awareness. He realized he had been living as if life was something waiting in the future. He had postponed joy. I will be happy when I get promoted. I will relax when I earn more. I will smile when things are perfect. But perfection never arrived. As the first ray of sunlight touched his face, he felt a strange warmth, not just on his skin, but inside his chest. He whispered, almost unconsciously, This is enough." It was just a sunrise, the same sunrise that had happened every day without his attention, yet it felt like a gift he had been too busy to unwrap. That morning he did something different. Instead of rushing through his routine, he made his tea slowly. He listened to the sound of water boiling. He noticed the steam rising like a soft cloud. He tasted the warmth, not as fuel to survive the day, but as something to experience. At work, nothing had changed. The same office, the same files, the same people. But Ion had changed. When his colleague complained about deadlines, he listened, truly listened, instead of nodding absent-mindedly. When the security guard at the entrance greeted him, he paused and smiled back with genuine warmth. The guard looked surprised, then smiled wider. That evening, instead of collapsing into his chair, he stepped outside. The air carried the scent of dust and distant rain. Children were still playing in the narrow street. He watched them chase a ball with loud laughter, their joy unfiltered, imperfect, and real.
For years, he had believed his misery came from something missing. A better job, a bigger house, more recognition. But in those 5 minutes at sunrise, he discovered that what was missing was not success, it was presence. Days turned into weeks. He began waking up earlier, not because he had to, but because he wanted to witness the quiet birth of each day. Sometimes the sky was cloudy, sometimes it rained, sometimes the colors were dull, but he watched anyway. He started writing down 3 simple things each night, not achievements, but moments. The old man who fed stray cats, the smell of fresh bread, the laughter in the office pantry. Gradually, the heavy weight in his chest became lighter, not gone completely, but lighter. One afternoon, a close friend asked him, "You seem different. Did something big happen?" Ayan smiled softly and said, "No, something small happened, and I finally paid attention." The truth is, his life had not transformed in a grand cinematic way. He did not become famous. He did not suddenly earn millions, but he stopped waking up miserable. Because misery had not been living in his circumstances, it had been living in his unconscious habit of ignoring the present moment. Many of us wait for 5 years to change our lives. 5 promotions, 5 achievements, 5 miracles. But sometimes it only takes 5 minutes of awareness. 5 minutes to watch the sunrise. 5 minutes to breathe deeply. 5 minutes to ask ourselves, what am I missing right now that is already here? The world does not withhold joy from us. We withhold our attention from the world. If you wake up tomorrow with a heavy heart, do not immediately run from it. Sit with it. Open the curtain. Listen to the birds. Notice the light. You may discover that nothing outside needs to change for something inside to awaken. And perhaps, just perhaps, the life you have been searching for in the distance is quietly waiting in the next 5 minutes.